guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Rias and I'm a lifestyle content creator, lifestyle and immigration now content creator living in Ireland. So if this is your first time, you're welcome to my channel, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back again. So this video wasn't even planned, to be very honest. I didn't plan this video at all. I didn't even script it. I haven't scripted this video as I'm sitting down here talking to you, but I was filming kind of like a Q&A video. I think I should have seen that video before this one, and then a question here that someone asked me and it just spoke to me. I'm just like, you know what, kind of like make a full video, you know, of this question, like answer this person in a full video, because I felt like if I had answered that question there, I would have spoken for more than 10 minutes. So why don't you just turn it into like a full video, right? So we are here now. The question the person asked me was, how well do you involve God in making decisions about your life? And I was going to just start from my childhood down to where I am right now. So this video is dedicated to God Almighty and to Him alone, to be very honest. But just a background story, just so that I'm able to answer this question. So when I was really young, I could remember that I was a church girl. You understand the term church girl, like in quotes, church girl. I would always love going to the church, and at that time, in the first church that I could see, I remember me attending, my mom at the time was like, you know, the leader of the children's department, and I was a child at the time. So most of the, you know, children's daytime in church, like, you know, all this memory verse thing, I would cram it. Like, I was so eager being in the house of the Lord. I was working for God. I was so happy. I started reading the Bible. You know how people finish the Bible. I didn't finish the Bible per se, but I was on that journey. I was reading the Bible. I was so serious with the God factor. And as a child, like, that's when it's kind of, I would say it's kind of like easy to, you know, grasp God in your life, right? I was a child who was very intentional with serving God. With the little that I did know, and then with teachings and help from my, you know, my parents, I was, you know, very serious about the whole God factor. And my mom being the leader of the children's department, like, fill in the blank. So there was no church service that we didn't go for. There was no activity that, you know, that was involved that I didn't partake in. Sometimes we would have children's competition and I would always be there. You know, I had a lot of memory verses like in my head, stored in my head. I was really serious with my relationship with God when I was a child. Fast forward to when I entered secondary school, that was when, to an extent, like, I noticed that my relationship with God started to, you know, go down the line. So the only time I was really serious, right, was when I would come back home. Of course, I'm on holiday, I have to go to church with my parents. It's not like in my secondary school I was going to church. We had Sunday service, you know, in my JS1, my JS2, we had Sunday service in school. But when I am home for holidays and stuff, I'm more serious with, you know, I just feel like that's when I would be more serious in serving God, reading my Bible, in praying and all of that. So in secondary school, I started to notice that if I wasn't home, if I wasn't going to my church, I wouldn't take serving God seriously. So I started to reduce in how many times I would pray. I stopped reading my Bible as often, you know. I think in JSS3 or so, I think in one level, SS1 or thereabouts, in order to like kind of like reignite my spirit or my love or my relationship with God. I was in a singing group. You know, I just felt like everything was just divine at the time, and I was put in a singing group where I would always have to minister every Sunday with my girls, of course, and then we would sing, and then to an extent having to, you know, practice for Sunday, having to sing all these songs. I started feeling like I was getting closer to God in school, aside from just waiting till I get home and then go to church, and then I feel like, oh, now I'm in God's presence. I don't know if you get what I mean. So that continued till I was done in secondary school. I entered university and I just feel like the worst happened. So in university, for my first year, I said to myself, you know, I was going to revive this relationship with God. I was going to, you know, involve God in whatever I do, because at that time I was just 16 when I entered university, and everyone was, you know, with the whole, my parents were telling me, you have to take God seriously, you have to involve in your life, you have to, you know, you can't do this without God, you know, that kind of thing. And when I entered university, I was like, you know what, you're going to have to draw God closer to you than you were in secondary school. You're going to change, you're going to do better, this, that. I went ahead and I gave my life to Christ. again. You know, when you're in church and they're like, oh, if you want to give your life to Christ, stand up. I think I have stood up more than, like, every time they say stand up, I'm standing up. Even in school, every time they say stand up, give your life to Christ, recite after me, I'll be reciting. And then after that service, I feel like I have gone back again, and then I have created sins, and you know, I will have to come back again and do it again. Like, do you understand? University, I said to myself, you know what, you're going to do better with this whole God factor thing. You're going to really do better. So in university, I entered school 100 level. I joined, you know, this evangelism team. It was a group in so university was divided between SU, student union, and one other one. I think I joined the student union one, and then there were other groups like inside student union, right? So I joined the evangelism. All I'm trying to say is that I joined evangelism team, right? In my first year. So at first, my first assignment was to, you know, go from rooms to kind of like preach the gospel. And you know how Nigerians we are when it comes to, you're just on your own and somebody just coming to talk to you about God as if you don't know God, you know, that kind of vibe. But I really enjoyed it. There was some adrenaline that came with having to wait for every Wednesday to go around the hostels. And as a 100 level student, like, I was let's leave that aside, but I enjoyed the work, to be very honest. That's the main point. I enjoyed what I was doing. I was going around. My relationship with God, I would say at that time, was really, you know, was getting better than it was. It was kind of like reviving. I was very happy. I was involving God in every decision that I make. Sometimes even I want to step out, I'll say, oh God, be with me. You know, just those very little things. God was a major factor in my life at that time. Fast forward to 200 level, 300 level, the ways of life came on board, right? And the earthly things and worldly things came into me, and I went far away from God, as my centerpiece. I went away. Like, sometimes, like in a month, I wouldn't pray. You know, it was that bad. Like, I could count how many times I would pray in 3 months. It was that bad. It was so bad that even in university, I would be hiding to skip church that was just 1 hour 30 minutes, 2 hours, or 2 hours 30 minutes tops, or maybe 3 hours, bad as it bad for Sunday school. I would rather hide, go through the stress of going under my bed, hiding behind the wardrobe, than going to church. 400 level, I did that. That's when I knew that it was bad. Like, my relationship with God had gone so far apart. What's the word now? And because, you know, when everything in your life would be going really well, you wouldn't, I don't know whether it's just me, but I used to be that person that I would always only run to God when I needed something, when I needed help with something. I wouldn't remember him when things were good and things were, you know, great. When I was surviving, I would be thinking, everything is fine now, no need to talk to God. You only talk to God when things are rough. That was me. I was that person. So in university, I knew that I had gotten far away from God. In short, aside from, like, in my way of life, in things that I would do, in things that I would say, in how I would, you know, react to situations, how I would handle things, I would have fights with people and not forgive. It was a lot. I wasn't that great. When it comes to my spiritual life, wasn't great at all, and I skipped one part. So in secondary school, right before I left, one of my last birthdays, there was one hostel mistress that was praying for me on my birthday, and then she told me the prayer that she prayed for me that day was like, oh, God will give me the grace to be like Joseph the dreamer, you know. And ever since then, I don't know if you guys would relate, or ever since then, at that point, I started to, you know, be the person that dreams, right? That was my way of communicating with God. If God had something to say to me, if God had something to show me, I would always see it in the dream first, kind of before it happens in the physical. So when I realized that, I started to hold on to my dreams. So there are days when I don't dream. It will go for months that I will not be able to have a dream, and it's normal when you don't actually dream. You don't have to dream all the time, right? So there are days that will go for a long time without having a dream on anything. But then, while it's normal, but at the same time, I knew that those were the days that I was really far away from God. Those were the days that God was not speaking to me. Those were the days that we didn't have a relationship, we didn't have a connection. He was leaving me on my own. Nothing was happening, right? and it started to bother me. I've never said with this story. It started to bother me. But then go back to university. I forgot that secondary school part, so I did it there. Fast forward now back to my final level university when I was skipping church and skipping chapel and having to hide than just go to church. For one, not because I was having a really bad relationship with God, but second, just because sometimes I didn't just feel like going to church. So from what I was building it from, it just took like a U-turn and I went like 100 steps backwards. My relationship with God, I would barely pray. Read the Bible, that's not my name. Barely read the Bible. So fast forward to me going for NYSC. As I was done with school, during my NYSC, I was 7 in Akwa Ibom. And at that time I was also processing my visa, my master's degree, whatever. So I started with the whole admission letter. You know, I told you earlier on that I would always consult God when I only had problems. So all through the beginning of my NYSC, when things were great and I was marching and parading, I wake up in the morning, I will not pray, I will just wear my white on white and move. But after the whole camp and everything, when I started to process my master's degree, admission and visa, I had to now start inviting God into my life again. And I'm like, oh, you know, I started to pray, started to take my life really seriously. I'm like, oh God, you have to help me here. You know, I need to get this admission. People were getting the admission in 2 days. Although my school was already like a factor, they don't really give admissions like that in 2 days or in a week. It could take like a month or two before you get an admission letter. So my prayer at the time was, oh Lord, help me. Let me get my admission letter early so I can process my visa on time, you know, all those kind of things. So that's when I started to go back to line or go back on my relationship with God. You get what I mean? So I started to pray and admission letter came. Now time for visa. And I started to pray again, God please, God please. So some people were getting like their visa results in 6 weeks, in 5 weeks, in 4 weeks. Some people were so lucky in 3 weeks, in 2 weeks, and they were going. And me that submitted like quite early in July, my visa result did not come out. So after like 8 weeks or thereabouts, it finally came out, and guess what? I was bounced. I've never said this on this channel here before, but my first visa application to Ireland here for my master's degree was rejected, because of some very explanation that they didn't get right. But I knew that God was just, you know, trying to do things to pull me closer to him. So at that point, while I was crying, I said to fire prayer. You need to see me. I was praying every morning. I was worship song in the bathroom. I'll be playing worship song in my ears. Like before, whoa, it's all those Davido I'll be listening to. I didn't care because life was good. But now at the time that I needed him, I was taking like my worship, my relationship with him very seriously, right? So I went back to God. It worked out. I applied again, you know, after believing, trusting, and it worked out. And I came here to Ireland. I was still holding God very strong. Everything was right. I didn't have a consistent relationship with God. That's how I'll put it. Like, I was a person that would only need him when I needed something. I stopped praying after that time. I started to do things on my own accord. I would go to class, I'll wake up in the morning, go and do what I like to do. Like, I didn't pray Sundays. The only reason I felt like I was, you know, going to church every Sunday, or most Sundays, when I was in Cork at the time, was cause the only reason I was able to go to church every Sunday when I was in Cork was because there is this lady, very sweet woman. I used to call her auntie, and then her husband, uncle. They would always come to my house and pick me and take me to church, you know. So I was, you know, going to church every Sunday. But if you had left only me on my own and say come to church every Sunday, I'm telling you that there's some times for a long while you will not see me in church. So I started to fall out again, and I wasn't, you know, consistent with the whole God factor, and I will always go back. And then 2020 came after I was done my school, and then everything was going on well. I started my YouTube channel, everything was popping. I was living life was good. And then in December last year, something happened, something grave, something huge happened in my life that took a U-turn, that made me say, who is even this God? Like, there even a God? I doubted every like God. I went far away. This one was not that I forgot. I intentionally went far away, because I'm like, how would you say you will protect your children, you would do this for us, you would do that for us, and you let this happen. I didn't pray for one day. Rather, I was crying, I was upset, I was angry with God. I said a lot of things that I regret, right? But at that time, I was very upset. I was angry with God. I didn't believe that there was a God. There was nothing to believe at that time. Because you say one, you say we should trust you, you say we should read your word, you say we should understand it, and we do those things. And you let this happen. So fast forward, I was battling with my relationship with God. And I know that one person, there was one girl that was always there and did not give up on me. That was Gesi Otoa. Thank you. When it comes to, there are always going to be people that would be there to help you through trying times. But she was there just for the purpose of helping me get my balance or my relationship back with God. So like, you know what, you can't pray, you don't believe, you don't trust, I understand, let me pray for you. She would pray for me, and even if I wasn't at that time, I didn't care, I would rather care less, but she would pray for me to have like a sound sleep, to be able to sleep. Like, she was there every morning, even when I was not responding to her amen or replying to whatever she was saying there. She didn't give up, and that was, I think, one of that fact or one of that reason why I didn't totally give up on God. So thank you, Gesi. Fast forward to that time till March, till May, April to May, I was still struggling. A couple of people even know this, even still up until now, I'm still a struggling Christian. I'm not perfect. So fast forward to that time, May, June, I started to get my life kind of like back on track. I started to see if I could pray again. I started to, the first day that I actually prayed after months, I cried my eyes away, to be very honest. And then I started to dream again. I told you guys earlier on that was the way I felt like I was communicating with God, and he was listening to me and I was listening to him. So I started to pray again. I started to take it one step at a time. And there are some decisions or some things that have happened in my life this year that I know that if I didn't get back on track as fast as possible with God, it wouldn't have worked out the way that it did work out. To answer this question that this person, I just wanted to give you guys like a background story of where I have been thus far with my relationship with God. But to answer this question, how well do you involve God in making decisions about your life? I think it was your letter that asked me this question. At the moment, I would say that I am way better than I was. It took me to trust God one more time for a particular situation, and that changed my narrative. I really do involve God in a lot of decisions in my life than I used to be. I know that I'm still shaky. I know that I'm not as consistent as I want to be, but I'm grateful for where I am. I'm in a much more better than I was 6 months ago, or even 8 months or 10 months ago. I was in a very bad place, and I know that me being here, even me coming back on YouTube, and even me being here, it's only just by God. I would say that really helped me get back was the whole NSPPD. I think some of you that are Nigerian should know NSPPD. So NSPPD, it's an online early morning devotion on the weekdays on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So I think it was my friend, it was actually my sister at first that sent me that to kind of like help me just be playing it. So at first I'll just open it there and play it. When they're done, I close it. Do you get? But it started to help me build my faith, right? My faith started to increase. I started to feel a lot more better, and I started dreaming again. So I felt like I'm beginning to have that relationship back again. I'm sure this video is like all around the place, it's really scattered, but for now, to answer this question, I involve God in a lot of decisions in my life as a person. It's like my number one, right, before I'm able to make any decision or do anything. So just a little background story for you guys to kind of like understand maybe my life a little bit more. Yeah, that's it. This video was a very vulnerable one. Even if I didn't give a lot of details, but you guys could kind of like understand to an extent. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for asking this question, and thank you so much, guys, for watching. And yeah, if you have any tips that you want to give me that would kind of like help me to be a better Christian and take my relationship with God to a different level, leave it down in the comment section and I will definitely answer you. But for now, thank you so much for watching. My name remains Ria, and I'll see you guys in my next video. I love you guys. Bye, guys.